Hello class, today we're going to look at factoring out the greatest common factor, and this is also known as the GCF because of the first letters in each word of the greatest common factor. So the best way with greatest common factor to find it and to factor it out is to break each term down into its prime factors. So finding the greatest common factor or taking out the GCF should be the first thing you do for all factoring that we're working with. So let's start by looking at each term. So in the first term, I have 4x to the 6. Well, 4 is 2 times 2. So this is going to break down into 2 times 2. And then I have 6 x's. Because of the x to the 6. Okay, so that's my first term. My next term is minus 24x to the 5th. Now the first thing we want to do is take out the negative 1 and then break down 24. So that's 2 and 12, 2 and 6, 2 and 3. So I have minus 1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, and this time we have 5 x's, so I have 5 x's here. And the last term we have is plus 24x to the 4th. So we have 2 times 12, 2 times 6, and 2 times 3, and we have an x to the 4th. Notice this time we didn't have the negative 1 since this is a positive 24. So plus 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, and we have x times x times x times x. So we've broken everything down, and now we want to go through and find out what they have in common. So we want to look at the blue, we want to look at the red, and we want to look at the green and see what they have in common. So the first thing I want to do is, do they all have a 2? Well, yes, they all have 1, 2. Okay. So I'm going to remove 1, 2. The GCF is going to be in front of my parentheses. Now I want to check to see, do they have a second 2? Second 2, 2, 2. Okay, so we can circle a second one. Now notice that I'm circling 1 in each. And that means I get to bring another 2 out. Now I want to see, notice that my first term, we're out of numbers. So there isn't a possibility for us to have a third 2 in all of them, or any other number in common. So I'm going to move on to my variables. So I want to see what is the most they have in common. Well, I notice the last one has 4 x's. So notice that we have 4 x's in common. So that's going to be x, 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 x. This is going to end up being our GCF. We don't have a 5th x in common, don't have a 6th x in common, so all of our parts in the first term have been checked. Let's see what we have left over. So what we have left over is x times x in the first part. In the red one, I have a negative 1 times 2 times 3 times x. And in this third term, we just have a 2 times 3. Those are positive, so plus 2 times 3. Now let's go ahead and multiply everything together to see what we get. So we have 2 times 2, which is 4. X times x times x times x is x to the 4th. My blue term is going to leave me with an x squared my red term is -1 times 2 times 3 times x, which is -6x. And then the back we have a plus 6. Alright class, so what we've done so far is we've factored out the GCF. So some of your problems are going to ask you just to label the GCF. So this 4x to the fourth is considered our GCF. Okay, so if you're asked just to identify the GCF, that's our GCF. Now if you're asked to completely factor the problem, then we are looking for the GCF and everything that is left inside here. Eventually what we're going to get to is we're going to start looking at this inside portion and factoring it even more. For now, this is not factorable, but you will learn how to check that as you work through the chapter. So this is working with the GCF, removing the GCF. Everything else that was not used is left behind in the parentheses. I hope that was helpful, working with factoring the GCF, our greatest common factor.